It's Boba book break time. Today I'm introducing a new series on my channel called Boba Book Break, where I take a break from reading, grab myself some boba, bink 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 wubbing, and chat about whatever bookish things I want to talk about. For those of you who don't know what boba is, it's the most magical drink that will ever touch your taste buds. It's a drink that originated in Taiwan, and you can have it in a variety of drinks, but it's mostly known for being in milk tea, and there's basically these chewy gummy balls at the bottom of the drink. While I personally love boba with all that I've got, I know that it's not a drink for everybody. Like that time I tried to get my family to try my drink and they spit out the boba. That's when I realized I must have unique taste buds. There's a big argument as to whether it should be called boba or bubble tea, but like I'm not here to argue today. I'm on the neutral side anyways. I call it both boba and bubble tea, so I'm neutral in this unnecessary argument. I got a metal straw here so I don't kill the environment. Look at me being the poster child for saving the environment, even though this cup is full on plastic, but you know, we do what we can, okay? Also, I was yelled at on Instagram for using a plastic straw a couple times, and like, I don't want to be yelled at ever again. It's not fun. I don't like being yelled at. I'm too soft for that. Sit break. I feel like I need a chew break too to chew the boba. My boba of the day is green milk tea with black pearl. It's delicious, and honestly my go-to. I have this way too often. Every time I walk in, they're just like, oh, you want the same thing? And I'm like, yes, I say, as I put my head down in shame. I am a creature of habit, okay? I need some help. I'm gonna try my best to not have this flavor every episode. Just every other episode. And then we've got my boba. Oh, you can't even see my boba enamel pin of the day. It's hidden. I guess I'll move it up. Ow, kind of stabbing. Ow, kind of stabbing myself. Okay, love that for me. Does that look awkward for it to be that high? This is such a high placement for an enamel pin. But anyway, it's a little Baymax drinking some boba tea. I had to have this pin when I saw it combined two of my favorite things like Baymax and boba. Yes! Crossover of the century! I know I'm not a child, but y'all can't stop me from unleashing my inner child. Adulting is straight up boring and you can't tell me otherwise. Let's get started with the topic of the day. Today, I'm gonna be talking about how to read more. I get asked all the time how to read a lot of books or how to read faster, and honestly, I have no idea how to read fast. If I had the answer for that, I'd be sharing it. Some of you read as if the world's gonna be ending tomorrow, which technically it might, but still, you make the rest of us look like we're reading in slow motion. Out of all the booktubers, I would find myself on the lower level in terms of how fast I read. In terms of like booktube standards, I would probably be considered a slow reader, but like I don't really care about that. Sometimes I don't care about it. Sometimes I want to break down because I feel like I'm not good enough, but that ain't the truth. I really have to practice that whole don't compare yourself to other people thing all the live long day. So I can't really give advice on how to read faster, and I also really can't give advice on how to read more books because I don't feel as if I'm a certified reader. I don't have a college degree in how to read more books, clearly. But what I will share with you guys today is what I myself am trying to do in order to try and read more books this year. Here's my list. First up is reading first thing in the morning. This is so far something that I've been able to make a habit of, and I really like it. It works out really well for me. Sure, sometimes I am still half asleep or I'm reading through tired eyes, but I make it work. And I will say that there are some days where I still reach for my phone first thing in the morning and I do a bit of scrolling, or some days my alarm goes off and I slam it off and I oversleep. I've started kind of waking up with this urgency to read. I go to bed at night keeping in mind that the first thing that I want to do when I wake up is read, and I think that in some ways that does kind of help me reach for a book first thing in the morning. Next on my list is to clear my mind. This is something that can be difficult to do, especially considering your situation that you're in. Not everybody can just wipe their minds clean of all the worries that they have in life. Like, that ain't the case. So I can't really give this as a tip, but it's something that I'm trying to do. I find personally that when I have a lot going on, I have a hard time focusing on the page. I feel like a lot of people are actually the opposite of that, where like if they have a lot going on, they reach towards books to kind of like escape. And like sometimes that's the case for me, but not always. Usually when I have a whirlpool of thoughts going up in my mind, that's when I find myself reading the same sentence over again, reading the same sentence over again, reading the same sentence. You get what I'm saying? You get it? I think you get it. I'll be reading a book and then my mind decides to go on a trip and just think about everything going on in my life. And that's when I find myself drifting from the story and not really becoming a reader sponge and soaking up all the words. SpongeBob SquarePants who? Reader sponge has entered the chat. What's that I hear? A sponge who lives in a pineapple under the sea quaking? Thought so. Now you might be wondering, how do you clear your mind? And that's not the video I'm making today now, is it? But if I had any suggestions, I would say journaling is a big thing. Get all your thoughts out in a journal. Pour your soul onto the page. Just don't pull a Tom Riddle, but get all your worries out of your system. I don't personally meditate, but I know that a lot of people do and find that really helpful, so maybe check that out as well. Next on my list is to rid your reading area of distractions. Hide your phone, your friends can wait. Don't make fictional characters jealous by avoiding them for social media, or that text message that honestly doesn't need to be responded to right away. Your friends can wait, and if they can't, they need to work on their patience. I've noticed for me that having having somewhat of a clean area around me while I'm reading really helps. Because if I'm reading in a messy room, then my mind begins to wander to things like, dang, I should really do some laundry, or something like, dang, I should put that pile of books that's been sitting on my floor for 5 weeks back on the bookshelf. I think having somewhat of a clean space can also just like really affect your mood positively, but the key word there is somewhat clean, because I can never have a full-on clean area. It's not possible for me. I'm too much of a walking disaster. Next is the mindset that you have going into reading. I personally have to remind myself that books are not hard to read, and also that books are just so much fun to read. Like, why is that so hard to remember? I don't know, but I forget it way too often. I feel like I often create this fake narrative in my head that it's really difficult to read, and I feel like that's me still thinking back on the days of high school when we were forced to read things that we were not interested in, when realistically it ain't that difficult to read, which, let me just say, obviously that's a very privileged mindset. I understand that there are people that have things that they can't control that do cause a roadblock from them reading. I recognize my privilege, my dudes, I promise. But for me personally, I'm usually the one holding myself back. I'm the one getting in the way of me picking up a book because of that fake narrative that I create. Finally, the last thing on my list is that you have to want to read. If you don't have the desire to read, then don't force it. But I do think that there are ways to kind of inspire yourself to want to pick up a book. I know it's hard when you're in a reading slump though, and that's not something that just kind of disappears out of your mind, unfortunately. I mean, heck, I wish it worked out that way, but it don't, does it? Nope. My recommendation is to look up 5-star reviews for the book that you're wanting to read, because I feel like that can kind of get you excited. Hit up BookTube for some exciting bookish content to fuel your bookish excitement, or just remind yourself of that glorious feeling you get when you finish a book. Sit break. I hope that list of things helps you. Again, this is not a guidebook. I'm not a wizard that can help you read more books. I'm just an average human who's trying to read more books just like you. Next segment is books trending. In this segment, I'll be discussing random bookish things that I found on the internet. I saw this on Twitter the other day and I kind of lost my mind a little bit. Basically, this guy tweeted out that he cuts his books in half in order to make them more portable for his commute. I'm at a loss here, you guys. On one hand, I'm like, wow, this is genius. And on the other hand, I'm like, how dare you? Listen, I'm 100% on board for things like marking your books, dog-earing your book pages, breaking a freaking spine, as long as that book is yours. And I feel like that makes me a bit of an open-minded book lover. But this, what is this? This is crossing the line, that's what that is. Holy heck. This is a whole other level of book torture. My question is, does he tape the books back together when he's done? Does he just set them next to each other on the shelf? I have so many questions for this man. I don't mean to judge him. They are his books. He can do whatever he wants with them, but oh my gosh, I could never do that. I just also can't imagine the books being too big to carry around town to the point to where you have to turn to slaughtering the books in half. I'll gladly buy this man an e-reader if it means less book murder. The last segment I have for you guys today is my weekend reads, and this is sponsored by Source Books. In this segment, I'll be telling you the books that I'm going to be reading this weekend, as if you couldn't guess that by the title. First up, I'll be reading Reverie, which is the Booksplosion book of the month for the month of January. A lot of you guys have been asking what our book of the month is, even though I've mentioned it in quite a few videos. Where have you been? Clearly not watching my videos. It's okay. It's alright. I'll be fine. Anyways, Reverie is the story of this boy who wakes up one day in this river and he's like completely bruised, basically almost dead. And he wakes up and he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't know how he got there, what happened to him. He has no memory of the situation. It all went poof. It turns out that he had run his car into this like really historic building in town and nearly died in the process, but he just doesn't remember anything. The popo is after him and everyone in town is holding up their torches and their pitchforks because they are mad at this kid. He messed up this historic part of town and they are not okay with it. But he swears that he does not remember anything that happened. Even when he goes to the scene of where this thing happened, he can't recall any memories. He starts encountering these people that he doesn't know at all, but they claim to be his really good friends, but he doesn't remember having any sort of relationship with these people. And then things start getting weird. Places begin to transform into like these really historic places. For example, he'll be walking into a gym and the next thing he knows it shifts and changes into a temple. And he's like, excuse me, I was planning to go work out, not work out at a temple. So while he's trying to figure out what the heck is going on with that, there's also this like evil force that comes into play, and basically him and his friends have to figure out a way to take it out. This book just sounds like it has a lot going for it, and I am excited for that factor. I've already read around like 15 pages, I want to say. Oh, I've read 50 pages. I thought I had only read like 15 pages. I was wrong. I've read 50 pages of this book, and so far, it's really good. It's not what I was expecting it to be, but I'm really enjoying it. It seems like we have a solid sibling relationship kind of at the forefront of the story, and I really like that aspect of it. And it's also just like very mysterious. Like, I am so interested to find out everything that's going on because like, I have no idea at this point as to what exactly is happening. Like, I can't put my finger on it. I have no theories yet, but I'm excited to keep reading this this book and uncover exactly what's happening. Our Booksplosion live show for this book is going to be happening on February 1st, so if this book sounds interesting to you, be sure to pick it up and join us for the live show. And the next book that I'm planning to read this weekend is actually a manga, and that is My Hero Academia Volume 2. I'm reading this for my Manga Monday book club that I put on. I will leave more information for that book club down below in the description and the upcoming mangas that we're reading. This book takes place in a world where people have quirks, which are basically just superpowers, and we follow these kids who are attending a superhero-esque academy, and we follow them as they come into their powers. It's a great series. I love it. The Manga Monday book club is meeting Monday, and there are already discussion posts for this book up on the Goodreads page, which I will leave a link to down below in the description as well. Lots of linkity links down there, guys. That's it for the first episode of Boba Book Break. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments the books that you are planning to read this weekend, and also let me know down below in the comments if you're a boba drinker, and if so, what is your go-to order? If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye. Oh!